My people, how you doing? My name's Darian Wigfall, back on my blog-ish, and I want to start with the most important thing that you will hear if you're 21 years or younger. Now, I'm 42, so I'm twice your age, and I want you to learn from my mistakes. Now, I'm making a lot of good financial decisions now, but I wish I had made them when I was 21. So, you being 21, being half my age, by the time you get to this point, could potentially save $1 million in 21 years, could invest and buy a multi-unit apartment building, could invest in stocks, could invest in crypto. Whatever you want to do financially, you should start it now. Now, I want to start with the idea that capitalism is just a game. It's not real. Making money is not as important as people on TV or the internet or movies make you think it is. The most important thing in life is your spirit and your time. Now, outside of that, it's very important to be with family and friends and make those connections and cultivate those relationships. But outside of you is really not where you're looking to find your happiness. And inside is where you're going to find it. So there's a couple books I want to talk to you about because your mental, if you're not looking for money, maybe you want to go into the self-development. At 21, if you start meditating, if you start going to therapy, all those things, by the time you're my age, you're going to have a lot of tools in your belt to be an adult, to deal with all the things that are going to be thrown at you when you're a 42-year-old. So it really begins with the mind. So we start here with this book. If you haven't seen it, pick it up. It's called The Holographic Universe. And it talks about how your mind is basically a mirror of the universe. And it is like holographic film. If you don't know about holographic film, real quick, it's very different from regular film. When you cut it, it has an image of the original photo or photograph taken in each piece. So let's say you take a picture of an apple with holographic film. When you cut it in half, each piece of the film now has a picture of that apple, an image of that apple. Cut it in four. Each image is on each piece of that film. So your brain being like this is very malleable, but it also is able to control the space-time in your immediate area, and sometimes when you combine it with many other people's energy and mind and belief, can create miracles. But it's all in here, documented scientific proof from the 1970s, also anecdotal proof from the antiquities, and even more scientific proof from the 80s and 90s. Holographic Universe starts with the mind. And if you don't want to go that deep, get a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I don't have because I let somebody borrow it. But your belief is the most important. You're 21. You have to believe that you're going to become whatever you think you're going to become. Outside of that, you need to beware. There are factors in this world beyond our control. The philosopher Thoth, or Thoth the Atlantean, whatever you want to call him, Hermes Trismegistus, wrote tablets specifically warning us about the dark forces that are controlling the media, controlling social media, controlling transnational corporations that really control the planet. And he talked about being where we are right now, talked about this matrix. And if you want to escape the matrix, that's what I'm here to talk about to you today, is if you start at 21 and invest or do your self-development, number one, you're going to be light years ahead of your peers, but also by the time you get to be my age, you're going to be light years ahead of other 42-year-olds. Think about it. If you start therapy now at 21, that's 21 years of therapy. If you start meditating now at 21, that's 21 years of meditation. That's going to ground you in your own energy so that nobody can get you off your square and really divert you from your goals and your aspirations. Now, whether that's monetary or that's spiritual or that's social, you have to decide that. But right now is the prime time to get started. You're most likely out of high school, some even out of college. You're considered an adult, so you have the leeway to do most of the things that you need to do to achieve your goals. And most older adults aren't going to stop you. Sometimes, like me, they're even going to give you a hand up because you're young and you're ahead of the game, and we see ourselves in you and want to give you a little bit of the game that we wish we would have gotten, which is what I'm doing right now. So, if you're 21 right now, this year, 2023, get started on whatever your goal is if you haven't started already. Because as I talk about in my music course, it takes 10,000 hours to become proficient in anything, whether that's becoming a baseball pitcher, a sports writer, a basketball player, a musician, whatever. So that 10,000 hours is likely going to take you 10 years, right? So till you're 31. But then by the time you're 42, you'll have mastered your craft. You'll become proficient, and then you can master it after that, right? It takes proficiency to master and repetition. So once you get started, it's a lot easier to continue. But if you don't get started now, you're going to be behind, just like a lot of my peers. I've probably got a lot more investments than them. I'm definitely ahead of the game on meditation. I've gone to therapy. I do a different types of therapy, but all of these things to say that my self-development and finances are in a decent place. But if I had started when I was your age at 21, I would have been way ahead of where I am now, and I wish I had. So I don't want you to wish you had. Don't regret it later. Get started now. Whether it's investing, again, saving to buy a multi-unit apartment building, buying stocks on Robinhood, Stash, Webull, any of the apps that allow you to buy in incremental shares. You don't have to buy a full share. Spending for yourself. If you want to have a career with music or anything that requires equipment, start saving now to buy that equipment, then develop your skills with that equipment. If you want to write, if you're a writer, start writing your books now. I'm on my third book. Well, I'm really on my fourth book. And I wish I would have started writing when I was 21. I'd be done, and those things would be selling, and I'd be making hundreds of thousands of dollars by now. And I hope to be there by the time I'm 50, but I'm not yet. So what I'm telling you is I don't want you to have the same regrets that I do being 42. Now, by the time I'm 50, I won't have those. But if I was 21, I would do exactly what I'm talking about starting today, either figuring out the information that I need to get started or going and doing something active. So hope that helps. That's this week's blog. I know it's longer than the other ones were, but it's so important, and I needed to talk about all those things. So capitalism is a game, baby. Hope you can win. Peace.